telling great stories is one thing, but first you need to have a concept that you're known for, and then everything after that follows. So I'd love to do a case study and actually show how this kind of breaks down. And we recently worked with Steven Shapiro. I wanted to use someone who wasn't in the room and just kind of talk through this. Let's watch Steven's video and just kind of break it down.
Don't think outside the box, find a better box. The issue is not the expansiveness of your thinking, you're looking in the wrong place. We're moving from ideas to solutions. Everybody has an opinion, suggestion, or idea. It doesn't mean you want it. Is there a fundamentally different way we can look at the problem?
So just a couple things there. We're at 30 seconds exactly. Steven's never said anything about himself. He said the fundamental issue is, which makes the brain go, okay, what is the fundamental issue? We've seen a lot of the different ways that he can serve clients, right? He's on lots of stages in a lot of different ways and different interactions. And then of course we have that concept. Of course, I'm not saying make sure it's in the first 30 seconds, but if possible, try to have that distinct idea, that one specific idea of exactly how you can serve them in the first 30 seconds, because you might at this point lose them, which is okay. But it's so great if right now a meeting planner, who's usually a woman, would say, I like that, put it on the short list. Because this is that one breakthrough we're just getting in 30 seconds. So now, and especially at this 30-second mark, he just started into a question. So how can we change the way we do this? If you ask a brain a question, it hates not knowing the answer. And so usually you will continue watching that, right? The other effective way that's not in this, but the other effective way to start out a video is to start out with a compelling story. A brain who starts hearing a story wants to hear the end of it, right? But those are two specific things. If you have an iconic story that truly, truly represents ideal clients and their needs or their struggles, starting with that is good. The problem that I find is that most stories take too long to develop, and therefore they're not a good place to start. So let's move right into it.
How do I stop the flow of oil? How do I solve world hunger? How do I increase revenues, margins, sales? Asking for ideas is a bad idea. If we ask abstract questions, we will only get abstract solutions.
It takes 3,000 raw ideas to ultimately lead to one implemented solution. So that means you spent time working on 2,999 ideas that actually had no value in the long run.
So just a couple subtle things there, right? So we're at exactly 1 minute and 9 seconds. And all he's done so far is broken down the idea and talk about how many companies are losing and massive amounts of money on the problems that they're trying to solve with the wrong solutions, right? And so all we've done is isolate the character and really focus on the problem. And when people see a problem, you know, and I know this is some of the things that you guys speak on, but as a 2 million year old brain who's hardwired for constantly looking for the things that are going to kill us, we like focusing on problems. If the whole day yesterday people only shared things that were going well, it'd be totally useless. But it's amazing how much if we all talk about 1 or 2 things that we're struggling with, all of our minds just perk up. We like the problems. And so spending a lot of time on the problem and what you're not getting right is key. And I find that in the first 30 seconds to a minute, not enough people are clear enough in their videos specifically about the issue that people are facing so that they can say, that's exactly it. Or as a meeting professional, who are some of the most intelligent people, because they manage so many different details, they know exactly the speaker they've been tasked to find. They know what the committee, what the theme of that year is, and they know exactly what they're looking for and what the company is saying. If it's in the corporate space, here's our serious numbers this year and we got to meet this. Or if it's an association, we're trying to do something truly unique this year. Here's what we're looking for. If you're not the person who's going to fill it, it's so good that they don't know it and they've skipped you already, because they're not going to waste your time. And now, once we've done the character and the problem, we can finally meet the guide. And finally, we have, as the founder of a 20,000 person innovation practice, Steven left Accenture. And so now we get some of that, it's about him, but again, it's later in the video.
They realized that it took the bags 8 to 10 minutes to get from the plane to the baggage carousel, but at this particular airport,
It only took the passengers 1 to 3 minutes to get from the plane to the baggage carousel. So instead of speeding up the bags, what do you think they did? They slowed down the passengers. They literally reconfigured the airport. So it would take, on average, 8 to 10 minutes for the passengers to get from the plane to the baggage carousel. When they asked the passengers, "Are you now happy?" they were ecstatic.
We create inefficiencies if we're not solving the right problems and we're not solving them the right way. Big companies don't have an infinite amount of time, money, or resources, so it's impacting the bottom line and it's taking their eye off the ball.
They were asking the question, how do we speed up the bags, when in fact they should have been asking the question, how do we reduce wait time?
So at this point in the video, what I want to point out is that last minute, if it's a good story, what a guide does is a guide makes observations. You know, you all travel throughout the entire country and world, and you know trends, you know insights, you know ideas, you know things that are going on because of how many different CEOs you speak to and how many different groups you speak in front of. And nothing about what he said so far was prescriptive, right? He wasn't solving any problems, but a guide makes observations that make people be like, oh my gosh, he gets it. He totally gets it. That's what a guide does, because now we feel, yeah, that's credible, you know, especially if I'm looking for a coach who's going to help me and a coach just launches into stuff without first understanding the problem. So are you sleeping enough? Are you drinking enough water? Tell me about your work life right now. You know, because all those things would affect my health if I wanted to find them. Once the guide has offered insights into what he knows about the problem. You're wasting a lot of money and here's why. Now he moves into more of a prescriptive thing, right? Now the guide actually gives a plan for how to solve that.
If you spend your entire life trying to speed up bags, you will never think to slow down the passengers.
If you focus on where you differentiate, you're creating incredible value. And if you focus on the framing of the challenges, you're going to accelerate things because you're asking better questions. We do not give enough power to the words and the language we use. The way we frame a question has a profound impact on the types of solutions we develop.
So if you turn innovation into a repeatable and predictable process, now what we get is something where instead of it happening when somebody's inspired to innovate, it actually happens on a regular basis. And it allows us to create something where we can get a 10-fold improvement on our innovation results compared to traditional methods.
The reality is, it's not about the answers. Having all the answers is not the answer. It is about the question.
Sorry to say, just to pause and just say, now we're moving into the final movement, which the guide tells us insights, they give us a plan, and then they call us into action. And so the last part of the video is just inspirational. It's causing us to ask this question of, if we started doing this, what kind of results could we get? And it happens on a totally unconscious level, but the viewer starts putting themselves, of course, into that character and saying, we could do so much more. And now it's inspiring and it takes us to the end.
The questions you ask today will predict the future you have tomorrow.
As soon as Steven sent this out to the bureaus and as soon as he started using it, he just started seeing just all of a sudden these different results. And it was because there's such a clear idea. And then the key is that he changed his website messaging to be around that concept, and then his outbound emails and the marketing person for him talks about the repeatable, observable process, and everything is shaped around the video, and literally the video starts doing 50% of the legwork, because that's what lives unconsciously in our minds when we listen and hear stories.